Well, we are picking up right where we left off with this project on truck 10. But we've got the bush hog in here. If you recall, I think it was last week, we ended up replacing the axles on it. We put new blades on. We ordered a stump pumper. That just came in here today. And we're going to go ahead and replace this hitch here on it. And what else do we have? I think that's about it. And then that's going to do it for this here. We can get it out of the shop. And then we've got the rest of the parts came in for the chopper. We'll get into that here in a later video. But we've got all that stuff. This stump pumper was like, I don't know, 700 bucks or something like that, if I remember right. And we'll go ahead and start working on this. We'll have to hold this up with the forklift. Then we can get this hitch assembly apart. And then we can go ahead and maybe you and Jacob could carry that stump pumper over. Put it on. You want to watch me do it first, don't you? Yeah, you want to watch me do it. You don't think you could do it, huh? Even the two of you?
I don't know, it looks pretty heavy.
Jeez. I'm telling you. Sarah, go over and grab a hold of that and put that on, will you? Do you think you could beat Sarah in an arm wrestling contest?
Yes, I do.
You think?
We went at it with the torque wrench one day.
Did ya?
I felt pretty confident after that.
Oh, I think right now, Jacob, it's up to Jacob. Do you think these guys should arm wrestle right now? Right on video. I'll give $100 to both of you. To both of you, just to arm wrestle. Huh?
I would do it.
You want to do it? 100 bucks. No? Right on that. Pull that barrel over here. They can arm wrestle on that barrel. $100 per contestant. $200 to the winner.
Oh, God. Really? Do I get her 100 bucks or do I get another from you?
Another.
Jeez.
It's tempting, isn't it? Sarah doesn't want to show you up. That would be bad, wouldn't it? All right, let's get to work here. All right, so we have the wrong part. This is quite a bit smaller here than the center hole on this one assembly here. And I don't know if the center unit takes the bigger style drum or what. So I don't know what we've got going on there, but we're gonna have to figure that out. So what we need to do is get this hitch done here. We'll get on that next. All right, so looks like all we're gonna be able to do to this is just put this hitch on there. But if we leave this folded up like it is, we can put that hub assembly on there at a later date here. But I originally thought that this round ball style hitch was wore out, and I didn't know if the top and the bottom clam pieces, and I thought maybe a combination of everything was all wore out. But it turned out to be that this center bolt was bent, and it was bent pretty good. Looking at this hitch here, it is wore quite a bit. So, I mean, it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of wore. So, I guess it's a good idea to go ahead and replace it, and everything will be new on the front end here. And we'll have to wait till that stump thing comes in, the actual drive hub. So we'll be able to get this out of here. And we can pull the 9320 in.
Yeah.
You could try out the starter on that.
Yeah.
All right, let's get this together. All right, we are done with this unit here. We've got as much as we can do to it. And we're just gonna turn this nut into a lock nut. And we'll pull this out of here. Then we're gonna pull in the 83 or the 9320 rather. And we'll get the heater hoses put onto it. And that's how you make a lock nut out of a regular nut. That'll never loosen up. All right. Well, I'll pull this out and park it. You can bring the 93 in. Back it in. So if you recall from last week's video, we ended up putting a water pump on this. Didn't get the heater hoses that we needed. Well, I shouldn't say we didn't get the heater hoses that we needed. The one that I thought was going to work from Napa didn't work, and we got the right hoses now to hook up to the heater core, which is on the back of the cab. Jared's pulling the oil filter now so that he can drain the coolant out of this, and we're going to run heater hoses, the straight ones, right from the front here to the back, and then we've got to put them little angled hoses in that hook to the actual cooler itself. So yeah. Well, we have the new hoses on the heater core. This is the valve here that turns the heat on and off. We've got those hoses hooked up. Now what we're doing is we're replacing the heater hoses that go underneath the cab from these steel lines up forward and around to the right hand side of the engine. They're just straight hoses. There's no bends in them or anything. It's just regular bulk hose. I have one unhooked right there on the back side of the head. And what we're going to do is we're going to do this the lazy way. There's a couple of loom holders that hold them hoses up to, off of the transmission. And what I did is I took a 5/8 bolt, old one. I cut the head off and I put a couple of beads of weld on there to kind of hold it in the hose. And we're going to connect the new hose to the old hose, and we're going to try to pull it underneath the cab without removing those loom holders. There's one, I don't know if you could see it, right in at about the middle of the cab, and the hose wants to slide through that easily enough. So we're going to try to push and pull the new hose through that loom holder. And then there's another one right on the front of the, right underneath the front of the cab. I was able to get to that one. I loosened that one up, and we'll do the same with that. So let's see how this works. So here is the hose. It's right here, so we can just kind of pull that through. And then this fastens to this line right now. It's actually coming up through. Where's that hooked? That is actually hooked to the oil cooler right there. So we'll get this old hose off of there, and then this new one is right here. This is our connection right there that has that piece of 5/8 bolt in it, and we'll be able to hook up this new hose right to the back side of the oil cooler. And then we'll do the same thing to the other hose. Well, we we just put that panel on. That looks a lot better on there. We do need to get the door replaced here sometime. But the old panel was just about falling off of it. And figured we'd get it on there. All right, these guys are moving right along. We're actually into the following day. Jared's running the loader. Alex is running a 7930 with the V spreader, the slinger. Tim's in truck 15. And Andrew here is running the Pro Push. Second load of the day. And he's got a flat tire. Evidently, we've actually got a problem on this side of the spreader. We had the axle hub go on that wheel 2 days ago, and now the tire on this one. So we are going to try to lift it up with the forks on the telehandler, because there's really not room enough to get a jack underneath there. We'll get it lifted up, set it on blocks, and then we'll have to fix that tire. I don't know if the tire is junk or what, but we'll have to get it up to the shop, get it warmed up, get it back to its original shape, and put some wind in it. Alex is loaded. Now Tim's getting loaded. And the telehandler doesn't have as much lifting capacity as what the payloader has. And that's as high as we could get it. We're going to either throw a couple of blocks of wood underneath there, or we're just going to cram the bottle jack in there and get it so we can get this wheel off. Well, we managed to get it up high enough to get the bottle jack underneath it. And Andrew just took the tire up to the shop now. So I don't know if the tire is any good or not, but I had brought the tools down to do the tire down here, but we need to warm the tire up a little bit to get it back to its original shape. And we might as well fix it up to the shop. That way, if the tire's no good, I'll just grab a new one and throw it on there. Talk about interruptions. I can't work on one job to completion before I get interrupted to do something else. But it's important that we get this lagoon emptied out before we get any snow. The temperature's down around, now it's like the mid to upper teens here, and the wind's blowing pretty good. Ground's nice and tight. And we don't have any snow on the ground to speak of yet. We could get a little bit of a snowstorm here tonight. They're talking a whopping 3 inches of snow. Oh, looks like Tim's leaking a little bit of manure out his tailgate, but that's all right. So let's see what this tire is gonna have for us here. Well, all that really needed was to take a ride on the forks coming up the road. It's just about back to its original shape here now, and the bead is kind of setting on the rim here. But the first thing I'm going to do is put some wind in it and see if there isn't a leak here somewhere, or if maybe the tire just wasn't soft and then it kind of gotten taken off of the rim from being loaded. Right? I think you overloaded her. Yeah, I know.
Well, that didn't work.
Thanks.
Didn't need to cheat it. All right, I guess we could put this back on the spreader. All we did is put air in it. I don't see anything where, or any spots where it's leaking from. I don't know if maybe the tire was just a little soft after he got it loaded and it blew off, you know, he blew the bead on the tire. But we'll put this back on. He'll have to keep an eye on it. All right, we've got that wheel on there, or the tire and wheel rather. Now we just need to lift the spreader off the jack. I would have used blocks of wood, but I didn't. Well, 2 blocks of wood would have been too much, and that jack was just at the right height. So, if you want to run the camera, Sarah.
Yay.
I'll just lift that up quick, pull the jack out, and you can take off. Reach in there, pull it out. Now we get it.
I don't. Oh, yeah.
right, so we got this done, and I'm just gonna pull this back outside now. And then the next phase of this video, we're going to be working on the 8120. It's actually sitting over here to our left. And this next first part of the work that we are going to be doing to the 8120 we did on New Year's Day. And then we discovered what was wrong with it and put a parts list together, and we pulled it back outside, and now it is 4 days later. And we're going to be pulling it back in. So, they're still working on cleaning out the lagoon, and they should be just about done here now. We'll go ahead and take a ride down and see how they are making out. I haven't heard of any more tire issues with Andrew. And I don't see anything going on down here. So we tried to move the manure pump out of the lagoon, but one telescoping wheel assembly, the wheel assembly on the right hand side was froze, and we weren't able to move the pump out of the pit. So I've got those wheels lifted up in the air now. It is a little warmer right now than it was earlier, but I don't foresee it being thawed out here right at the moment. But looks like Jared is waiting for truck and manure spreader to get back here, and as you can see, he's just got that one side left, and a couple hours maybe he'll have it done here by the looks of it. So we'll go ahead and pull the 8120 in now, and we'll go into working on that. Now Jared's got a full house here. Well, we've been down this road before. It's 8120 back when we were doing second or third cut in hay. Andrew spun the keyway off on the wedges inside this drive wheel hub. This has snap-on duals on it, and we've been using this tractor to move the frac tank around, and I think the frac tank is a little too much for it with running duals, snap-on duals on here. I'm hoping that the axle isn't injured, but that might be the actual problem with the reasoning why it's breaking this keyway off. But that axle is just spinning inside of the wheel. This tractor, we bought it used, and the previous owner ordered this tractor with short axles on it, and you cannot put a hub on there to run axle duals. So we're gonna get this dual off. It is Saturday, January 1st, so we won't be able to order any parts until Monday, but I at least want to look at that axle to make sure the axle's not compromised in any way. We did put a new axle on the other side, as we had a guy do brakes on this tractor quite a while ago, and he used a torch to get the bearing off because he wanted to replace the bearings, and it ended up weakening the axle, and the axle broke on it back 2 years ago. So if we have to put a new axle in this side, the right hand side, we'll put a long one in there. We've got the longer axle on this one, and that will accept an axle hub to be able to put axle duals on her. So the other fun part is going to be getting this dual off. It does not like to come off this rim good, so we might have to hook a chain on it and yank it off. Alright, we've got all the goofy hooks off in there. Now we've got to try to get it off of the tractor. Usually you can stick a bar in. Oh, there's a hole right there. We could actually try that. I don't think it's going to work. Grab that big pry bar. We'll see if that works. This rim has been a problem ever since we put these duals on this tractor here. Snap-on duals, I've said it before, are really not designed to go on a tractor that's any more than about 150 horse. They're not meant to be on there. They twist or they slip a little bit, and then once they slip, they get bent. You got to get the other bar to go through the hole. We're gonna try getting the bar through that hole, and sometimes you can pry it off. You can kind of see there's some dents in this spacer ring, and it's been a problem. So we've tried sanding the rim down, putting grease on. That's almost worse. Go right in that hole right there. All right, try prying out. No bueno. Okay, we're gonna hook a chain on it. I know some guys have said you drive on a block of wood and it's a different animal than what you're used to with the little tractors. Alright, pulling it off that way was rather successful. I don't know if we got it on video or not, but I actually had this tractor up on a block of wood. What'd you do? Already take the block of wood? No, it's right there. We had the tractor right about here and pulled it that far. However, I don't know if the camera got it, and what I did is I had the chain hooked in 2 spots. That last time there we had it hooked in 1 spot, and that was successful. When we took this off in the summertime, we did it the same way. We just had it hooked in 1 spot, and look at how much that tire is cracked. So as long as we've got the pressure washer out here, we're gonna go ahead and wash this off so that it's a little easier to work on, and so that we don't have anybody screaming and yelling at us that we need to spend 3 hours washing something and then 3 hours fixing it. So, but we're gonna go ahead and wash just the rim off. We're not gonna wash any of the manure off of here. Well, we were washing this off. I heard a bunch of air rapidly exiting this tire, and I thought the dry rot spot, I thought the pressure washer actually penetrated it, but we actually have a broken valve stem. The rim on the dual must have hit that when we were taking it off. So I've got this Mickey Mouse bead breaker in there. We're just gonna pop the bead, put a new valve stem in there, blow the tire up. We've got it on a jack right now. Nate was in the tractor running it back and forth so I could get that wheel clean. I said, hey, you got to get it in the shop as soon as you can. And he just barely got it in here before the air all exited out of the tire. So it's on a jack right now. Like I said, I got this bead breaker in there, mounted a couple of chisels in to push the tire off the rim to get this guy in there. I don't use it that much. We don't really do big tires like this just because we don't have the proper equipment to break these tires down. All we need to do is break the bead, push the tire in, pop that valve stem in there. We're using this on truck tires. Too much of that. We could probably do this. We can get that in there. So, yeah. All right, we were able to break the bead. This tool is not designed for an impact. However, we used it on there anyways. Ooh. What there is a roll pin that goes through this end. We stripped the roll pin off, and now I've got a 6mm bolt in there that is holding that end on there. I probably should get another one of these tools. This tool is probably 20 years old, and we've only probably used it maybe a dozen times. So we've got this bead pushed back enough. We can get the tire hammer in there to just pry it, set that valve stem, set a new one in there, and now we can get some wind installed into her. We probably better, why don't you get the cheetah blowing up in case we need it. So yeah, see if you can get that. I'll grab a new one, Nate. Hold it right on this bar here. All right, so we have the hub slid to the end of the axle, and well, there's not much we're going to be able to see in here. Man, it don't look. That axle looks fine.
Did you feel around on it? On the back side, there's a mark.
Yeah, but that groove feels, well, why don't you do this? Don't touch the brakes at all. Make sure it's out of four-wheel drive and go real slow forward. We'll put that groove up on the top. But you can't touch the brakes because it'll activate the four-wheel drive. So Nate's going to power it forward or backwards, either or. We're going to put that groove up to the top. It's probably going to fall off the jack, but oh well. Get ready to just shut it off, Nate, because your natural instinct's going to be to hit the brakes. You don't want to do that. All right, go ahead. It's moving. Okay. And we are good. We just need to get some new wedges. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to move the wheel in with the forklift, tighten the hub up, and then we'll put the tractor in four-wheel drive, take it off the blocks, and very carefully just move it outside. We'll order up the parts for this, and this time when I order the parts, I'll order that gear that is used to move the wheel in and out. However, if we had that in there, that would have broke itself off because it broke the keyway off of the hub. All there is a keyway about that wide and whatever the length of the hub is, and that's what drives the hub off of the axle. And these parts were both brand new this summer, the keyed wedge and the bottom wedge. I thought maybe we were going to see a war axle, but it looks like it's fine. Maybe we could put some Loctite or something on there, something to help it. But I think it broke the keyway. All it would have to do is break the keyway, and then it doesn't matter how tight you have that. Once you spin it, you're done. So that's probably what happened, is it broke the damn keyway again. So, well, we'll join back up with you at a later date once we get some parts for this. And yeah. That's good right there. Let me let down a little bit. Just tighten it up right there before we take the chains off. I'll put these tools away. It's impact on it. Okay, we are several days later here, and we're going to go ahead and put some new wedges in on this wheel hub on this right hand side. We're going to pull the wheel right off, I think. I don't know. We're going to kind of play it as we go here and see how we make out. So I've got new hubs, the new wedges, all new bolts, and I also have the bolt that goes down through here with a little wheel on it that allows us to adjust the wheel. Well, I call it a wheel, but it's a starred wheel, and it works on this groove part of the axle. So we'll get this jacked up, pull these wedges out. I don't know if we really need to. There's no real reason why we have to take the tire off. I guess I was going to pull the whole assembly off in there, but I don't think I'm going to do that. So, yeah, got to get her jacked up. Put it on the drawbar carrier, not the sway block. Screw the top out enough and do it that way. So let's get after it here. We only have a little bit of time. We're coming into the end of the day here. As you can see, truck 10 is still in the shop here. We have a drag link that needs replaced on this right-hand side, and they gave Sarah the wrong one, so it's still sitting in the shop. They gave us one to a different truck altogether. She went out to get the one for the right-hand side, and they give her the one to the left-hand side. So let's go ahead and get our parts gathered and our tools and get this thing situated here. That scored pretty good. It's not that old, but oh well. Oh well. So that's what those bolts are for. They are the jack bolts. Now, Garrett has already removed all of the hardware from the hubs, and give me that hammer. Might need a pry bar too. I don't know how easy. It's coming right up. Like it's supposed to. Now, this hub here is supposed to have a key in it. It's supposed to have a square keyway here. And that rides in the, here you can take that. That rides in the axle right here. That's what actually drives the wheel itself. So what has happened here, because we're running snap-on duals, we're assuming that's the problem. It's too much, it's just too much leverage on this setup here. So we don't believe that there is anything wrong with the axle, because we have looked at it. So we're just going to go ahead and put some new parts into this. So that's what this hub is supposed to look like with the key in it. So what we're going to need to do now is we're going to need to turn the axle. We're going to have to power it with the tractor. And essentially what we need to do is we need to clock it. Now it would be handy if we had one of them big tire jacks with the wheels on it, so there'd be wheels where the forks are, and you'd actually be able to roll the tire into place. So we need to buy one of them. So, yeah, I don't think we can spin. There's just so much weight with this wheel assembly, because we've got a couple of inside wheel weights on there. I think there's a couple of 450s on the inside, and then we've got this heavy cast center. So we're dealing with, I don't know, 2,000 pounds, 2,500 pounds, and we're not going to be able to spin it on that axle like a little Mickey Mouse tractor tire, you know. If this was a 40-20 or something, or a 1066, we'd be able to just muscle that. Tim would be able to grab right onto it and whirl it. So we need to do some positioning here, and then we can put our new parts in, and then this will be done. It's a very easy job. Okay, so we have our parts installed. Now, when we put this together in the field when we were doing hay, I did not put that little assembly in there. It's a toothed wheel that rides in this spline part of the axle, and what that does is it enables you to adjust this wheel in and out. I don't really think it's necessary, because you get a wheel that's of this size, they're hard to move anyways, and the easiest way to move them is just you put the forks underneath there, wrap a chain around it. Once you get them wedges knocked loose, you can walk it either way with a forklift. On the bigger tractors, they don't even use this rack and pinion style wheel adjuster anyway, so it's a different wedge assembly altogether. On the older tractors, one wedge went in from the opposite side, and then the other wedge went in from this side, and I can't remember now if it was 3/4 of the circumference of the, I almost want to say the outer, I forget now how those are, like the 4250s, right on from the 10 series all the way up through to the 8000s, I guess. They started with this wheel here with both wedges on the outside. There's nothing on the inside. Now, there's 5 bolts. There's 3 that hold the top wedge in, or I'm going to call it the keyed wedge. And then there's 2 bolts that hold the wedge in that has this goofy adjuster wheel through it. And then they put 2 bolts in each wedge, and these are the jack bolts here. What you do is you loosen up all of your, you loosen up the 5 bolts, and then you run these in up until it gets up to the cast center. And if it doesn't move the wedge, you can whack on here with a sledgehammer, and the shock alone sometimes breaks these loose. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you have to go back and forth, loosen these up, tighten these up, hit it with a hammer, go back and forth. Heat, I've had a ton of problems with these, and there isn't any one thing that works better than the other. You just got to kind of fight it all the way around here. So we'll show you how this wheel assembly is supposed to work if it has the actual adjuster. Now you're going to line me up to where we got to be there, and we just need to move this in a little bit here. How much farther? That's good there. All right, so now we have the proper wheel width here. Now we'll just tighten these 5 bolts up. These are supposed to have a snap ring on them to keep them from falling out. Some of the tractors we have, I don't even have them in there. I have them in a drawer on that back bench back there, just because they either fall out, or if you go to put these in and you don't have them backed out far enough, you won't get the wedge tight. So we'll go ahead and tighten that up, and then that's going to about do it for, not only for this video, but for the day, right, Garrett? Yeah. Got to get this guy home here. He's running overtime.
Oh, jeez.
Running overtime. I don't know why I'm putting this jack bolt in there. You want me to check the width? You're not confident enough that you've got the wheel in the right spot. I need to look at it. Based off the other side. Oh yeah. You got me in too far. Yup. You made me go in too far. We just need a demonstration of how that works anyways, you know?
Yeah, from back and forth.
Now, when you tighten these wedges in, what you want to do is you want to have both wedges in equal amount.
Yeah.
So you don't want to tighten one wedge all the way in and then try to tighten the other one in. The wheel will never stay tight. It'll never stay tight. So when you tighten these up, you start working it so that both wedges are equal right at where they kind of come together here.
Yeah.
All right, we're just gonna give that a couple of good whacks here. Sometimes it gains you a little bit, sometimes it doesn't. So that is going to do it. Now, if we should happen to break a wedge on this tractor again, I'm afraid we're going to have to replace this axle on this side. Like I talked earlier here, it was actually 4 or 5 days ago, this tractor does not have long enough axles on it to run snap-on or run axle mount duals. I know a bunch of you are going to be typing in the comment section. You can use this, that, and the other. It's been tried. They're not long enough. It's not going to work. So we've got the longer axle in on that side from back when this tractor was on the merger. My nephew was merging hay with it, and the axle broke. Now, got a lot of comments on that video saying, oh, you guys are rough on stuff and blah, blah, blah. What had happened to that axle was we had a private shop do some work for us for a while. And we don't even use them anymore. But at any rate, they did the brakes on this tractor. And when they did the brakes on it, they wanted to replace the axle bearings. And they couldn't get the bearing off of the axle. Now, we have all been told on these tempered items, something like this axle is hardened and it's made for the amount of stress and shock and everything that this tractor is going to put on that 4-inch axle. They used a torch. They did not cut into the axle. They just used a torch to cut the bearing. And when they cut the bearing, enough of that heat got down in that axle, and it took the temperament or the hardness. It took the strength from the axle, just that heat. So that's why that axle broke. When you put heat where you shouldn't, it's not if it's going to fail, it's when is it going to fail. So that's why that axle broke. It takes a lot to break these axles under even the extreme conditions, but when you put just a little bit of heat against something like that, you run the risk of having the problem that we did. So that is going to do it. Oh, Sarah's just getting back here. That is going to do it. What? You want to say it?
They want to say it.
They want to say it? Folks. Yeah. All right, that'll do her. Take it easy. We're going to get this down off the jack and roll it out the door. We're supposed to get some snow, so we'll be able to use this to plow snow with. You going to plow snow with this?
I don't know.
You don't know? Yeah. Yeah, we're going to pull that dual off the other side. So, well, alrighty. We'll catch you later.